Happy Friday, Steelers Nation. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, I'm coming to you from my apartment here in Dallas, Texas. Usually we're in the office at Chat Sports Studios, but today it is my day off. So I just wanted to get a quick update to you guys because we did get the final Steelers injury report today and get you guys a little bit more ready for this Week 6 matchup versus the Las Vegas Raiders taking place in Sin City on Sunday. So the first bit of news here that I want to discuss is Justin Fields officially being named the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least for this week, versus the Raiders. Russell Wilson was a full participant in practice this week. He got reps with the second team offense, and apparently his week of practice wasn't good enough in terms of knocking off the rust to be able to get the start this week, and it will be Justin Fields. Now, Mike Tomlin, when he spoke to the media today, said that Russ did everything he needed to do physically to be able to be active this week, so he will be Justin Fields' backup quarterback, but it will be Fields getting the opportunity to make his sixth start as the Pittsburgh Steelers starting QB, and I think that's the right decision from head coach Mike Tomlin. And the reason why I think that is because A, it really hasn't been Justin Fields' issue here in terms of the offense, right? It's been the run game. It's been receivers not creating separation. It's been receivers dropping passes. Now, that's not to say Fields has been perfect or that he's been stellar. I've been perfectly clear that I think that Justin Fields has had some lapses in his time as the starting quarterback for the Steelers, especially last week against the Cowboys. There was a number of times where I thought on third and medium there was opportunities to move the chains, and Fields either didn't throw to the right receiver, or he took too long to get the ball out, or he threw the ball away when there was an opportunity to get it to an open receiver. So Fields hasn't been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, at least in my opinion, but I do think he's played well enough where I think that he should be the one starting this weekend. And then another thing that I think gets glossed over a little bit in this discussion, especially the people that want to go to Russell Wilson right now, Russ has been injured these last 5 weeks, not to mention he was injured for a large portion of training camp. Justin Fields is the one that has essentially been getting all of the first team reps for most of the preseason and now the regular season as the first team quarterback. He has the most experience with these guys. He's developed some sort of comfortability with the players and the weapons that he throws to on a weekly basis. And then Russell Wilson is still a bit rusty, and he's still a little bit more inexperienced in terms of his chemistry with the wide receivers and the tight ends and the running backs and everybody else in this room. Not to say he hasn't gotten any reps. He did have a stretch there where he got quite a bit of time at the end of training camp leading into the season, and now he's had this week of practice, but Mike Tomlin made it pretty clear. His week of practice, he's still dealing with knocking off the rust, so to speak. Now, I don't think necessarily that Tomlin will hesitate to put him in the game if Justin Fields is struggling, and if Fields doesn't play well this weekend, make no mistake, I think it will be Russell Wilson starting on Sunday Night Football versus the Jets at Acrisure Stadium in Week 7. So this is going to be a week where Justin has a lot of pressure on him. Right? He's going up against a team in the Las Vegas Raiders that's really struggling. The defense, I mean, you got Max Crosby on there, who's awesome, but other than that, they don't have a whole lot of impact players. Honestly, their second most impact player on defense isn't even a player. It's a coach in their defensive play caller, and Patrick Graham, who I have a lot of respect for in terms of a defensive mind. He does a lot of fun stuff on schematically for him. And then, of course, you got Max Crosby. So Justin Fields has an opportunity this week to potentially solidify himself as this team's starting quarterback, but he also has an opportunity to lose the job if he has another kind of lackluster week. And, I think both are significant possibilities this week. We'll just have to see how everything plays out, how Justin plays. If he plays more like when that Chargers game in Week 3, he's probably going to be solidified as this team's starting quarterback after a 4-2 start. However, if it's a close game, or if he throws multiple interceptions, or if they lose the football game again, I think that with a 500 record and 3 straight losses with Fields under center, I think that's probably going to lend credence to potentially going to Russell Wilson in Week 7 to see what this team can do with him as their starting quarterback. So I think that what Fields needs to do is he needs to operate the offense within structure a little bit better. He hasn't done that at a high level of efficiency to this point in his Steelers career. At least he didn't last week. If he does a better job at getting through his progressions, getting the ball out on time, getting the ball to the right receivers in the right situations, and he continues to move the sticks and get the team into the end zone, I think that he's going to be just fine. I don't think that the Raiders defense is particularly good at turning the ball over, so this should be an opportunity for Fields to once again protect the football quite well. But it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. This is definitely the biggest game of his NFL career to this point in time. So let's shift over now to Jaylen Warren, somebody that I said before the season would be the most important offensive player for the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense this year. He gets injured towards the end of training camp with a little bit of a hamstring injury. Then also he has a knee injury early on in the season. So he's been out here the last few weeks. And now this week he was designated to be doubtful by head coach Mike Tomlin in his first press conference this week on Tuesday. But then he's had a really good week of practice. He feels good. He's practiced fully here today. And it's looking like he's going to be able to go on Sunday, and that is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, just because they don't have a whole lot of dynamic playmakers out there that can get those big chunk plays, and Jaylen Warren is kind of the guy that can get that done for you if he's fully healthy. We saw it last year in Matt Canada's offense. Jaylen Warren at times was really the only player on the entire offense that was capable of executing like high-level splash plays consistently, picking up 10 plus, 20 plus yard runs. Getting that back into this Steelers run game would be really, really nice. Right now, they're kind of relegated to being kind of like a power run scheme with Najee Harris. Nothing against Najee, but he's not necessarily the most dynamic back. He gets about, I think it's like 3.5 yards per carry this season. He can fight forward for extra yardage if you need a couple yards, but he's not going to be somebody that consistently gets you 20, 30, 40-yard chunks like Jaylen Warren can. So getting some of that lightning back to match with Najee's thunder, I think should really help this struggling Steelers rushing attack. That is if he plays on Sunday. In terms of the Las Vegas Raiders and the players that are injured for them, obviously Davante Adams will not be playing, still dealing with that hamstring injury. Now, some people speculate whether that injury is legit or not. Personally, maybe I think that it's not the most serious hamstring injury in the world, but I do think it's real. There's a reason why he's not playing this weekend, and I do think he's going to end up getting traded as early as Sunday night and as late as Tuesday night. I think that that's probably the cutting off point for any team to potentially trade for Davante Adams. So keep that in mind if you're hoping the Steelers can get him over the next couple days or so. And then also you got Christian Wilkins, a big-time defensive tackle pickup in free agency for the Raiders this year. He will not be on the field either. So those are two very big injuries. So one of your best defensive players and then your best offensive player, if you're the Raiders, is going to be out. So there's really no excuse for the Pittsburgh Steelers not only win this football game, but honestly dominate this football game, even on the road. You can expect, a lot of Steelers fans at Allegiant Stadium this weekend. I think I saw a report that about 50% of the tickets bought for this game were bought by Steelers fans. So this is almost like a neutral site game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not even like an away game. They're once again an inferior opponent. You've lost against inferior opponents the last 2 weeks, in my opinion. That sucks. You can't do it a third time. So I hope that head coach Mike Tomlin has his guys ready to go. Then the final topic that I want to talk about on today's show here before I let you go is Roman Wilson, because Roman once again had another full week of practice where he was a full participant, and of course over the last 3 weeks he hasn't gotten a helmet. And with this wide receiver room in the current state that it's in, it's definitely a little bit weird to me, right? You don't want to get your new rookie wide receiver that you drafted on day 2 this year out there as soon as you can. Now, it's certainly possible that he's been dealing with injuries and maybe he's not as healthy as the team has led us to believe. But this week in practice, lots of clips have shown up showing him to be a little bit more explosive than what he has shown in practice over the last several weeks. I think that he's getting a lot closer to be able to getting that helmet and making his NFL debut, and it might even happen on Sunday. And if that happens, man, I think that Steelers Twitter, Steelers fans all over the world are going to be very excited to see this young man play. And, I watch Van Jefferson on the Steelers film every single week, and he's not creating any separation. He's not, getting open down the field, and you can definitely tell that the injuries that he's had has affected his explosiveness as an athlete. But Roman Wilson, obviously, he's the fresh guy. He's the rookie. He's got incredible speed. And if you can get him on the field, and if he's really ready to go and he's healthy, you can use him on those deep crossers and to clear stuff up for other people. A role that Van Jefferson just hasn't really done at a really high level to this point. So with a potential Davante Adams trade on the horizon, I think it's important for this Steelers team, if Roman Wilson is healthy and if he is ready to go, put him out there, see what he can do, because you kind of want to take stock of your entire wide receiver room here before you make any kind of big-time trade for Davante Adams or DeAndre Hopkins or Cortland Sutton or any other Steelers wide receiver target that we've talked about here on the show. Before you make a move like that, and especially if you're going to give up a second or third round pick for a guy like that, you got to know exactly what you're dealing with the guys in your current locker room. I think you want to see what Roman Wilson can do against NFL caliber talent, and if he's ready to go and if he's healthy enough, Mike Tomlin, I'm begging of you, man, put this guy on the roster, give him a helmet, and see what the heck this guy can do. Also, watch out for Calvin Austin III this weekend, guys. I think that he has really done a good job getting open. Justin Fields and Arthur Smith haven't done the best job at getting him the football, for whatever reason that is. I want to see Pat Freiermuth get the ball more this weekend. Obviously, I want to see George Pickens get into the end zone. It's crazy that a guy that talented doesn't have a touchdown catch through the first 5 weeks of the year. I want to see George Pickens have a higher percentage of snaps. I think we'll see that. And then also keep your eye out for Brandon Johnson, who I thought actually had a pretty decent week and limited snaps last week. So the wide receiver position and how this offense and this passing offense in particular kind of flows and operates, it's going to be a big storyline for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we're going to be right here on Steelers Talk, breaking it all down on our live watch party starting at 3 p.m. Or 4 p.m. Eastern Time. 3 p.m. Eastern Time, my mistake. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now, because we got an hour of pregame coverage followed by live play-by-play, and then, of course, extensive post-game coverage for Steelers versus Raiders here in Week 6. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys later, and until next time, here we go, Steelers.